Hi everybody, it's Michelle and I'm coming to you makeup free and post-op. My surgery was on Monday, January 4th. It is now Sunday, January 10th, and so it has almost been one full week since my surgery date, and it was better than I expected, worse than I expected. So far it's kind of been everything all rolled into one. The liquid diet was stupid hard. It was absolutely hell, and I hated every moment of it. That being said, I was very, very strict, and I gave up coffee. I only had the recommended protein shakes, Isopure protein drinks, and water and green tea. I had nothing else. And so the good news is that the doctor, my doctor, when he was operating, he specifically said to me and my husband that, you know, your liver looked perfect. It was the way that it should be. It shrunk drastically. I was able to do it very quickly, very safely, very effectively. It was one of the quickest operations I've ever had, and that made me feel really good, knowing that he saw that I stuck with it and I didn't give up. I didn't have some big cheat meal, you know, the night before or anything like that. Ending the liquid diet with no liquid after midnight the day before surgery was also incredibly hard because I was very thirsty, and you can't drink anything because you might aspirate on your own vomit while you're in surgery. So that should be incentive enough for you not to drink anything after midnight. So I did not. When I woke up from surgery, my throat was so sore and so dry that I could barely speak. I could maybe speak one or two words, and it took a lot of willpower just to speak even those 1 to 2 words. So what I always wanted to know is just kind of, you know, watching everyone's videos and seeing everything is, okay, well, what the heck happens, you know, when you go into surgery. So it started off, I started in a waiting room. I went into a private room to go fill out some documentation. I ended up paying $2,400 out of pocket in estimated costs, and then my mother showed up, and we waited for probably close to 40 to 50 minutes to be called back. I gave my mom a hug and she left, and then my husband came back with me to the room. And they weighed me, and they asked me for a urine sample, and I'm thinking, am I even going to be able to produce any urine? I haven't, you know, had anything to drink since the day before. So I was able to urinate a little bit into a cup. They did a pregnancy test and a few other tests just to make sure I wasn't sick and I was fit for surgery. And then at that point, the nurse, you know, told me to change into a gown. And my plan, I guess, I'm not familiar that much with hospitals and procedures and everything. I said, well, can I leave my bra and underwear on? And the nurse kind of looked at me like, no. I was kind of like, well, why does everybody, the nurses, the doctor, everybody need to see all of my bits? You know, my boob, my vagina, my butt. It's just like, what? You're operating on my stomach. Like, why do I have to be, why can I not wear a bra? Why can I not wear something to cover up my butt? So I guess I'm sure there's a reason why. I just don't know why. So just be prepared to be fully undressed with your gown. So I changed, I laid on the bed, the little hospital bed. She put the IV in, and I am super happy to report that she got it on the first try, which is a big deal for me because my veins are small, they're deep, and they roll. So basically my veins are a nightmare to nursing staff. And when I got my blood work done back in July, I got poked 6 times at my doctor's office and then 8 times at the hospital. Well, 2 more times, making it 8 at the hospital because they could not get to a vein for my blood work. So, and it actually, she didn't even blow my vein, so there's just this little bitty dot right here. That's it. Best, like an answered prayer for sure, because I thought, oh no, like what if it's gonna, you know, what if this nightmare happens to me again where they can't find a vein? So that was fine. And then she put a few drugs into my IV, and then she said, we're going to give you a heparin shot in your belly. I have never had a shot in my belly, and I thought, you know, it probably feels like your arm. You know, it's pretty fatty, so it's not gonna hurt too bad. And ouch. She didn't even prep me that it was gonna be painful, like with the IV drug. She's like, oh, it'll burn for 3 seconds, or this will, you know, hurt just for a minute or whatever. With the belly shot, she's like, I'm just gonna give you a belly shot. Boop. And I was like, huh, like I jumped up from the pain. And hopefully it's not that bad for everybody. I would say that was probably the most uncomfortable thing, like pre-op wise, that I went through. I sat in the room for a while. I kind of didn't know what was going on. We were in the, you know, pre-op room for probably close to 2 hours. And just kind of sitting around, and then the doctor came and said hi to me, and he was probably in the room for less than 2 minutes. He didn't ask me if I stuck to my diet. He didn't ask me really anything, which I was surprised. I'm sure when he opens you up, he just gets the answer then, but I thought he would say, you know, how was it sticking with the diet? Do you feel ready? He just said, all right, you know, I'm getting prepped, and he was in his scrubs, and that was it. So I didn't really have any questions, and then the anesthesiologist came in about 20 minutes or so after, and he introduced himself and kind of explained what he was going to do, which is basically just administer the drugs and get me prepped for surgery. And then he left, and then we waited probably another 30 minutes after that, where then they wheeled me and into a room. And nobody said, you're going into general anesthesiology. Nobody told me where I was or what was going on. And then someone administered a drug into my IV. And the last thing I remember was I was looking up at this really weird light fixture. And that was it. And then before I know it, I had my eyes closed, but I could still hear what was being said in the room. And there were these two male nurses in there. One was behind a desk, one was kind of a little bit closer to me outside of the desk. And basically they were just talking crap about my surgery that I just had. But not with me, but with other people. They're like, oh, I know so-and-so, and he had the sleeve, and it didn't work for him. I know so-and-so who got the sleeve, and they gained all their weight back. And so as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, am I about to go under? Did everything go okay? Did my liver not shrink enough? Did they cancel the surgery? I finally came to and I opened my eyes. My eyes were really blurry. And one of the male nurses walked over to me and he just said, you know, hey, how are you doing? And again, I could barely speak. So I all I could muster was, it hurts, it hurts. And I wasn't, you know, I don't want to make anyone scared. I was in a lot of pain. It felt as though I had 0 pain meds in me. And I'm sure I did though. But it just felt like I just knew my stomach area, my belly hurt really, really bad. And I was crying and I really couldn't say anything else, and he just kind of patted my back and he just said, you know, I know, I'm sorry. And I sat there totally confused. I didn't know if I had had the surgery. I didn't know if it was successful, if I had had it. I didn't know if I was in the recovery room. I had no idea what was going on, and the nurse never bothered to tell me, Michelle, this surgery was successful, you're in recovery, we're going to be here for this amount of time, and then we're moving you to your room, okay? I mean, you just think basic knowledge when someone is coming out of general anesthesia might be helpful to them. Just a thought. I was terrified. I didn't know if he had opened me up and closed me back up. I didn't know if there had been a complication and that's why I was hurting so badly. I didn't even know that I was in recovery. I hadn't even pieced together that I had had the surgery done. And that was pretty traumatizing for me. So, my recommendation for you would be, please tell the staff, the anesthesia staff, the recovery room staff, if you have a chance beforehand, when I come out of anesthesia, please let me know how the surgery went, if it was successful, and where I am. And that sounds kind of dumb and basic, but if you're anything like me and you're super confused when you wake up, it's so helpful to know what's going on. So anyways, that honestly is the worst of it. So I don't want to scare you too much. It wasn't unbearable. It was just really, those things were really tough. They wheeled me into my room that I was going to stay in for the night, and it was very hard to speak. They only gave me ice chips, of course, to suck on for liquid, and so my throat hurts, my belly hurts, and then they started getting the pain meds in me, and it didn't hurt anymore. And for some reason, I think it was the gas pain, the nurse was helping me into bed, and I was like, can I just stand up? Can I just walk around? And, you know, I'm kind of loopy and out of it from anesthesia. And she's like, honey, you're on a lot of narcotics right now. I don't think it's a good thing for you to stand up. So I just kind of sat in bed and I asked my husband for a gas X strip. So it's just something that you put on your tongue and dissolves, and that kind of helped to settle my stomach down a little bit. And then my mom showed up again at the hospital, which was so comforting. If you can have a parent there and your parents are a source of comfort to you and they're willing to be there, I would highly recommend it. You know, some of us, I know, aren't comfortable with sharing everything with our parents, but if you have a supportive parent who knows about the surgery and they're able to be there, there is just something about going into surgery, being in the hospital, coming out of anesthesia that makes you like 4 years old again. You know, I'm like, Mom, you know. I was just holding her hand and she was, you know, kind of patting my head and my back, and it was just very comforting to have a parent there. So that is something I would recommend. And, you know, my mom and I, we are not even that close. We haven't been close for a very long time, and I think it was one of those like rare bonding opportunities. She was always a really good caretaker whenever I was sick when I was little, so she was great. You know, there is also something humiliating about being in a gown where you're bare-assed to the world, and so she helped cover up my backside with a bigger cape. And even though the nursing staff was like, oh, nobody cares about your butt showing, and I'm like, I care. I don't want to be humiliated. And, you know, my mom helped me over to the toilet, and, you know, just kind of things that reduce you back to childhood a little bit. So, throat hurt really bad. So if you can get some cough drops or different things to help you. I did not drink any water, as thirsty as I was. I did not want to risk making my stomach leak or anything before it was ready to handle fluids, so just hang in there. The hospital stay was overall fine. The pain medicine worked great. I spoke with my anesthesiologist beforehand and asked him not to put me on morphine because morphine doesn't work on me. It has zero effect. So he used something else and it worked great, whatever it was. And, you know, just being in the hospital and, you know, kind of realizing that everything you've worked so hard for is there, and it's just a lot to take in. It's very emotional, and even though I was glad that it was over with, it was also just kind of shocking in a way. So be gentle on yourself and just try to follow the doctor's orders as best as possible. And if you would like to see my battle wounds, and as you guys know, I'm not really keen on like bra and underwear showing. To show you my stomach, I will show you a little bit more than I'm used to, just so you can kind of see what it looks like. So I have 4 incisions total. 2 of them are really small. There's 1 major incision. Let me stand up here. And here they are. So really not too bad. The longest one is about 2 inches. when I saw the one over there, I was like, is this even really necessary? But, you know, not bad. I don't know what I was expecting, but I don't like that they put staples in. I wish they had done like glue or like a clear adhesive in a way. Staples seem kind of extreme, but doctor knows best, right? So, you know, didn't really get much sleep at the hospital because I was clicking the pain medicine button, you know, every 30 minutes, like, hurry up. The doctor finally came to visit me about 1 o'clock the next day, and he said, do you want to stay here or do you want to go home? And I was like, go home. I was tired of everybody walking in every hour to check my vital signs. It's really annoying. I know they have to do that by law, so just so you know, expect it. That's what they have to do. I was wheeled out to my car, and my husband drove me home. And then at home, if they give you a prescription for pain meds in a pill form, please do not make the mistake I did and accept that. Or if you accept that, make sure you get a liquid painkiller. Because if you have the side effects that I do, taking 2 huge chalky pills in an empty stomach does not sit very well, and it made me so nauseous, so sick. I did it one time at home and I refused to do it. So Wednesday morning I spent a total of probably 8.5 to 9 hours trying to get a liquid painkiller prescription. My doctor wasn't available. The physician's assistant was barely available. It was such a pain in the ass. It was a nightmare that day. Please get a liquid prescription for your painkiller, because that has saved my life. In terms of, I'm really not ready for pills. I'm not. Some people might be, some people might do okay on those, but maybe just to be safe, ask for both. Ask for liquid for week 1 and pills for week 2 or something like that, just so you see what works best for you. My follow-up appointment is this week on Wednesday. I am going back to work tomorrow and kind of nervous about it. I'm still really just out of it, but I've had a lot of friends and family that have visited, so I thought I was going to be really bored and lonely my recovery week, and really everyone has been so super nice and supportive while I've been recovering. And so if you do have trustworthy friends, good friends, reliable friends that you trust with this information about your surgery, I don't know how I would have gotten through the week without my friends just calling or stopping by or texting me. It helped me out so much. Now, I'm sure you've heard this before. If you haven't, I hope this is helpful. Don't weigh yourself after you leave the hospital for about a week. They fill you up with fluids, and then when you get home, you're still on a full liquid diet. And so your body is hanging on to calories and liquids as much as possible so your kidneys won't shut down. So I think I'm holding a lot of water weight. I have noticed, and my husband's noticed, like my back and my waist area seem to have slimmed down already. I did lose 20 pounds with the liquid diet phase. I am hoping to continue to lose weight. Right now, with the full liquid diet, I've had a little bit of cream of wheat. I had a sugar-free chocolate pudding pack that was delightful. I have had coffee with creamer, cream of chicken soup, and and I had Greek yogurt today, and that was super good. And I'm really only able to eat about one of those things each day, and probably maximum 4 ounces really, really slowly over like a 30 to 40 minute period. Eat very, very slowly. I haven't thrown anything up, and I try to drink as much as possible. When I do drink water or anything at all, I have what I call the tidal wave effect, where it just feels like someone is just pounding on my stomach. And I think that's just because my stomach's really bruised and it's healing and it's adjusting to digestion. And so that is the most painful thing so far, is swallowing liquids or foods, and having it digest and hit your stomach. It hurts pretty bad. It's not unbearable, but I do catch myself going like, oh, and holding my stomach sometimes. I am trying to get some calories each day. I have also stayed up. I still take 2 gummy vitamins every day, and I, chew them down to nothing. And they have not upset my stomach at all, and that way I figure I'm still getting nutrients in for my body that, obviously we need to have. And hopefully I'll just continue healing and resting, and it's pretty bizarre. My dreams at night have all been about food, about going through the drive-thru and eating things, and my mind keeps telling me like, oh, let's go and get this burrito or this taco, and my brain says it, but physically I could not handle it right now. And in fact, I'm probably not even hungry, but I think I was at the point where I was confusing hunger with cravings or just mental, rewards. Basically, this tastes good, so I kind of got a high off of it. But I don't even think I really want those things, but my body for some reason is just kind of going haywire mentally. So anyways, that's kind of some information about the surgery, my experience. Hopefully there are some tips and tricks, and it's a little bit more detailed than maybe some other things that you've seen. And I will check in with you guys real soon, so thanks so much for watching.